Get this trash out of here before she embarrasses us all. Victoria Ashford grabbed Zara's arm and shoved her backward. The young black woman stumbled, her simple black dress catching on a champagne table. Preston immediately started filming, zooming in on Zara's face. This is going straight to TikTok. Poor girl thinks she belongs here. Camilla snatched the invitation from Zara's hand, waving it above her head like a trophy. Look, everyone! Someone's playing dress-up with a fake ticket. She ripped it in half, the pieces fluttering to the marble floor of the Metropolitan Museum. The sound of tearing paper echoed through the sudden silence. Security guards moved closer as the Ashford family formed a circle around Zara, their phones out, recording her humiliation from every angle. 200 elite guests turned to watch the entertainment. Zara bent to collect the torn pieces, her hands trembling slightly as laughter rippled through the crowd. Have you ever been destroyed in public by people who had no idea they were signing their own death warrant? The torn invitation pieces lay scattered like confetti at Zara's feet. She knelt gracefully, collecting each fragment while the Ashford family towered over her, their phones capturing every angle of her humiliation. "Ladies and gentlemen," Victoria announced to the growing crowd, her voice dripping with theatrical concern. "We have a gatecrasher situation. Some people simply don't understand the meaning of exclusive." Preston adjusted his camera angle, speaking directly into his phone. "Guys, you're witnessing peak delusion right here, when keeping it real goes horribly wrong." His TikTok was already climbing past 15,000 views. Camilla had switched to Instagram Live, her follower count jumping from 23,000 to 28,000 in real time. "This is actually painful to watch," she whispered to her audience. "Like the secondhand embarrassment is killing me right now." The museum's head of security, James Patterson, approached with visible reluctance. Behind him trailed Dr. Elizabeth Harper, the museum director, her face tight with professional concern. "Ma'am," Patterson addressed Zara quietly, "I need to verify your invitation status for tonight's event." Victoria's laugh was sharp and cutting. "James, darling, the evidence is right there on the floor, clearly forged, probably printed at some Kinko's in Queens." The crowd pressed closer, forming a perfect circle of designer gowns and tailored tuxedos. Phone cameras glinted like predator eyes in the museum lighting. Dr. Harper checked her tablet nervously. "The Williams Foundation table. They're listed as our platinum sponsor with a $100,000 contribution." "Anyone can steal a foundation name," Preston interrupted, still filming. "Dad, didn't you handle corporate security at Goldman? Tell them about identity theft." Richard Ashford pushed through the crowd, his phone buzzing incessantly. "What's all this commotion? I have the Williams tech signing at 9 a.m. sharp tomorrow morning. Our $750 million partnership depends on—" "Handle your business calls later, Richard," Victoria snapped. "We're dealing with a social emergency here." The event coordinator, Sarah Mitchell, appeared with her clipboard, whispering urgently to Patterson. "Sir, the live auction starts in 8 minutes. We need to resolve this quickly." Zara finally stood, the torn invitation pieces carefully arranged in her palm. Her voice was steady, almost serene. "I understand there's been some confusion about my presence here tonight." "Confusion?" Camilla laughed into her phone. "Girl, there's no confusion. You don't belong here. This isn't a community center fundraiser." The comments on her live stream exploded. "Why won't security just remove her? This is so cringe. Poor girl doesn't realize. Someone should help her understand." A distinguished elderly man in the crowd, Judge Catherine Morrison's husband, began recording discreetly with his phone. His expression grew more troubled with each passing moment. Dr. Sarah Washington, a prominent surgeon, leaned toward her husband. "This doesn't feel right. They're being unnecessarily cruel." Victoria heard the whisper and turned sharply. "Sarah, surely you understand the importance of maintaining standards. These events require appropriate boundaries." "Appropriate boundaries?" Dr. Washington's eyebrows rose. or appropriate prejudices. The tension in the room shifted perceptibly. Some guests began looking uncomfortable, sensing the ugly turn the evening had taken. Preston sensed the mood change and doubled down, addressing his growing TikTok audience. Sometimes reality hits hard, people. Not everyone gets to live the dream. The video was approaching 50,000 views. Patterson cleared his throat. "Miss, do you have any other form of identification that might help us resolve this matter?" Before Zara could respond, Victoria stepped forward again. "James, we don't have time for this charade. The Ashford family has donated over $2 million to this museum. Our word should be sufficient." She gestured dismissively at Zara's simple attire. "Look at her, for heaven's sake. Does she look like someone who belongs at a $10,000 per plate charity gala? The dress is from Target. The shoes are from Payless. This is embarrassing for everyone involved." Richard's phone buzzed again. He glanced at the screen. "Marcus Williams, urgent." He declined the call, focusing on his wife's performance. Camilla zoomed in on Zara's clutch with her phone camera. "Even her purse looks fake. Like, girl, we can tell the difference between real Bottega and a knockoff from Canal Street." The crowd murmured agreement. Someone called out, "Just have security escort her out quietly." Another voice, "This is getting uncomfortable to watch." A third, "Someone should call this into page 6. Zara's phone buzzed insistently in her clutch. The screen, briefly visible to nearby guests, showed Dad, Marcus Williams, with multiple missed call notifications. She declined the call without speaking. Victoria pounced on the moment. "Even her phone calls are disruptive. This is exactly what I mean about appropriate behavior in civilized society." Patterson looked increasingly uncomfortable. "Ma'am, if you could just show me some identification." "She already showed you her fake invitation," Preston interjected. "What more proof do you need that she's lying?" The museum's official photographer had been discreetly documenting the confrontation from multiple angles. The images would later become evidence in ways none of them could imagine. Dr. Harper checked her watch. 8:52 p.m. "Ladies and gentlemen, our live auction begins in 3 minutes. Perhaps we could—" "Resolve this first," Victoria finished firmly. She turned to address the entire crowd. "Before we proceed with tonight's festivities, we need to handle this security breach appropriately." The circle of elite guests tightened around Zara like a designer-clad noose. What had started as curious observation transformed into active participation as more socialites pulled out their phones, turning the humiliation into prime social media content. "This is actually insane," whispered Manhattan socialite Rebecca Sterling into her phone, live streaming to her 45,000 Instagram followers. "Like watching a social suicide in real time." Victoria sensed the crowd's energy and fed off it, raising her voice theatrically. "Ladies and gentlemen, this is precisely why exclusive events matter. Without proper screening, anyone can waltz in and contaminate the atmosphere." Preston had switched to a second TikTok account. This one focused on cringe content. His follower count climbed past 75,000 as he provided running commentary. Update: security still hasn't removed her. This is getting painful, guys. Judge Catherine Morrison stepped forward, her authority commanding immediate attention. Victoria, as someone who's presided over discrimination cases, I must say this young woman appears calm and respectful. Perhaps we should— Catherine, your legal expertise is admirable, Victoria interrupted smoothly. But this is about social standards, not courtroom procedures. Camilla had positioned herself for the perfect angle, her Instagram Live now pulling 35,000 viewers. The comments streamed relentlessly. Why is she still there? Security is useless. This is so awkward. Someone help that poor girl realize. Dr. Harper frantically checked her tablet, cross-referencing donor lists. The Williams Foundation is definitely our platinum sponsor. $100,000 contribution confirmed. Foundation names can be stolen, Richard Ashford interjected, finally pocketing his buzzing phone. Corporate identity theft is more common than you think. Patterson approached Zara with visible reluctance. Miss, I'm going to need you to come with me to verify your credentials privately. No, Victoria's voice cut through the murmur. This needs to be handled transparently. We've all witnessed the situation unfold. Privacy would only enable further deception. The crowd murmured agreement. Someone called out, "Make her prove she belongs here." Dr. Washington shook her head in disgust, pulling her husband aside. Charles, I've never seen anything this cruel at a charity event. Should we intervene? He whispered back. How? They have her surrounded. Zara remained motionless in the center of the circle, still holding the torn invitation pieces. Her composure was unnerving. No tears, no anger, no defensive explanations. Just quiet dignity that somehow made the situation more disturbing. Preston sensed the crowd's discomfort and escalated his performance. Guys, I think she's in shock. Like reality is finally hitting her. He zoomed in on her face. This is what delusion looks like when it crashes into truth. The museum's official photographer continued documenting everything, his professional eye capturing the power dynamics, the racial undertones, the mob mentality of New York's supposed elite. Camilla noticed other high-profile attendees in the background of her live stream and tagged them frantically. At Manhattan Moms, at Elite NYC, at Luxury Lifestyle NY, come see this disaster in person. Her tags worked. More influencers arrived, phones ready, sensing viral content. The circle expanded to include fashion bloggers, society reporters, and wannabe social media stars. This is Melissa Crawford reporting live from the Met Gala charity auction, announced a young woman with a press badge, speaking into her phone. We're witnessing an unprecedented security situation involving a possible gate crasher. The crowd's phones created a constellation of recording lights, documenting every angle of Zara's humiliation. Later, investigators would count 37 separate video recordings of the incident. Dr. Harper tried once more for control. Perhaps we could move this to my office. Absolutely not, Victoria declared. Public problems require public solutions. This young woman chose to make a spectacle. She can face the consequences publicly. Patterson looked desperately uncomfortable. Ma'am, policy requires we handle these situations discreetly. Your policy clearly isn't working, Richard interrupted. The Ashford family has been supporting this institution for 15 years. Our judgment should carry weight here. Zara's phone buzzed again, the screen briefly visible. Dad, emergency. Answer now, with 17 missed calls. She declined again without speaking. Preston pounced. Even her fake emergency calls won't save her now. Daddy's imaginary money can't buy her way out of this. The crowd laughed. Someone shouted, "Just call the real police." Another voice. "This is taking forever. Can't security just drag her out?" Judge Morrison tried again. "Victoria, this has gone too far. The young woman hasn't caused any actual disturbance." "Her very presence is a disturbance," Camilla snapped, still live streaming. "Some of us paid serious money to be here. We shouldn't have to deal with this." The comment section exploded with agreement. Exactly. Know your place. So entitled. Security is weak. Dr. Washington finally stepped forward. "I'm leaving. This is disgusting." She turned to her husband. "Charles, we're going. I won't be part of this lynch mob." Victoria's eyes flashed dangerously. "Sarah, if you can't handle maintaining social standards, perhaps you should reconsider your membership on our hospital board." The threat hung in the air. Dr. Washington stopped walking, her career suddenly on the line. Preston seized the moment. And that's how it's done, people. Sometimes reality requires enforcement. His second TikTok had reached 120,000 views. The elderly businessman who'd been quietly recording finally spoke up. Young man, I've seen enough. This behavior is reprehensible. Sir, with respect, you don't understand the situation, Richard replied smoothly. We're protecting the integrity of this institution. You're destroying it, the man shot back. Victoria raised her hand for silence, her voice carrying across the marble hall. Ladies and gentlemen, we've been more than patient. Security, I'm formally requesting this trespasser be removed from the premises immediately. The crowd erupted in applause. Phone cameras captured the moment from every angle as Patterson reluctantly approached Zara. Miss, I'm sorry, but I have to ask you to leave. Zara looked up at him, her eyes calm and clear. I understand your position, Officer Patterson. The fact that she knew his name surprised him. She reached into her clutch knot for identification, not for money, but for her phone. Actually, she said quietly, speed dialing a number, I think it's time I made a phone call. The phone rang once before connecting. Hi, Dad. Hi, Dad. Yes, I'm still at the Met Museum. Actually, I think you should know what the Ashford family really thinks about our community. Zara's voice carried clearly across the marble hall. The crowd's chatter died instantly as 300 guests strained to hear the conversation.